Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about two topics. The first one being Gen Alpha is learning nothing, and shocker, people are lying about it being due to the fucking lockdowns of 2020. Second story of the day, which is actually going to be what we're going to talk about first, actually, in the situation, which is basically California's $20 an hour minimum wage is already costing jobs in the state. Imagine my shock. Implementing communist bullshit cost jobs and people wages and stuff like that is what it is, man. So, yeah, basically you had, see if I can pull it up here. You had Black Conservative Perspective talking about this a little bit ago here, which are couple hours, like I think it was sometime yesterday afternoon or was there. She was California residents upset Pizza Hut fires all delivery drivers after $20 an hour minimum wage increase. So really this has something to do with what I want to mention here about one particular person in the situation, which is this woman right here who took her family to go get a pizza is what it was. And the BS that she was spewing here, which is basically about quote-unquote corporate franchises being like moneymakers and stuff like that, and then not being mom-and-pop shops. That's actually kind of a lie, or at least a misnomer anyway, because of the fact that the reality of it is, it doesn't matter if it's a Pizza Hut, a Domino's, Wendy's, and Arby's, whatever it is, dude. These corporate franchises, which is what they are, have franchisees. People like myself, potentially, who would buy into these corporations, these names, these name brands specifically is what it is, for, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. It's like an actual sum of money you have to buy into the franchise to use their name and stuff like that's what it is there. But yeah, otherwise this would be called like Dom's Pizza or something like that. That's what it is, dude. Or, Jenny's Pizza or something like that. But instead it's a Pizza Hut franchise. And so it is, at the end of the day, the local franchisee that is eating the cost of that shit, dude. It's not somebody sitting there being like some CEO at fucking Pizza Hut being like, oh, I'm making such a good profit here off of every single store here. No, dude. They're selling the franchisee rights to these people, and they're making, some kind of profit there is what it is. The actual Pizza Hut name brand, their corporate executives and all stuff like that, the board of executives, all stuff like that is what it is there. But yeah, the people that are doing the franchisee name and stuff, dude, they're not making shit. And that's the whole point. It's the local Pizza Hut in California there, or Pizza Huts in California there, different ones. Most likely different franchisees for that matter as well. It could be the same person in multiple locations and stuff like that. They might buy into the same franchise all across the state or something like that. But it most likely is like several different people that own all this stuff is what it is, dude. As franchisees, yeah, they're the ones cutting the fucking job, cutting the delivery driver jobs there is what it is. And it's like, yeah, they cannot afford to fucking pay $20 an hour to a damn delivery driver to go drop off a fucking pizza, dude. A job, as Black Conservative Perspective pointed out there, should be for a high school kid. And that's the problem right now. And I've seen this before at McDonald's and stuff like that too, man. We'll have people either my age or older for that matter. So it's like late 30s, early 40s, even 50s in some cases, that are working the counter to fucking McDonald's, a minimum wage job, where they should be having an actual career. And this is the problem. And then they want to bitch about like, oh, I'm not making enough at this fucking low-skilled ass job, but I don't have an actual thing to get better skill sets is what it is there. And that's the problem. You should be wanting to better yourself. And unfortunately, this does go back to who you're voting for is what it is in many cases, because it's these people that are scumbags that are fucking over our country in many general assemblies across this country right now, mostly Democrats next to their name, by the way. Some are Republicans, but there's a majority of Democrats actually in many cases, who are pushing through the shit. And then they're going to be like, oh, we'll just buy your votes and stuff like that because we'll push forward this $20 minimum wage. Oh, you don't have a job anymore? Oh, sorry, that was not our fault. We didn't think about the consequences it's going to cause, anything like that. Bullshit they didn't, dude. They 100% fucking knew what was going to happen here. 100% they knew what was going to happen here with this bullshit, dude. Just like Canada recently. You had fucking Canada announce that they're going to do Andrew Yang style fucking UBI shit up there now, where they're going to give any person in the country of Canada, doesn't matter if they have gainful employment at all for that matter, or is making a good living or whatever the case be, any resident of Canada now can apply for $2,000 a month in universal basic income. Congratulations, Canada. You're going to be a communist fucking country in about a year. Maybe even less than that. I guarantee you by 2025, give or take, you're going to see Canada basically being Venezuela 2.0 at this point, dude. We're already seeing hyperinflation like that up there, like crazy, where people are actually moving out of Canada and coming down to the U.S. now and trying to import here is what it is now. I guarantee you're going to see this massive influx of people coming down from Canada now pretty soon, dude, which is exactly why, again, we need to have literal fucking border walls at both borders, both north and south. And I've been saying that for at least the last 5 to 6 years now. So, anyway, but yeah, we're going to listen to what this woman had to say here.
As the one-out pizzaing the hut in this neighborhood, maybe any pie shop willing to drop it off.
And they're big corporations, so I know they have the finances to be able to pay the drivers. It's not like it's a mom and pop shop that they can't. So
yeah, and that's the fucking lie right there. It's not like it's a mom and pop shop that they can't do it. It's like bullshit. It's not, lady. It literally is a fucking mom and pop shop. Like I said, it's people, it's everyday Americans. It would be people like yourself, for God's sakes, that have the money to buy into these franchises. You know, it's just like the same shit we look back at Minnesota in 2020 when they had the fentanyl Foley riots and stuff like that for lockdowns, you know? And you had these fucking pieces of shit there. It was like 4 black trainees or something like that who were on camera running around committing arson in multiple places, burning down Arby's, Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, etc. And then they wondered, like everybody around there wondered, why, you know, a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, almost now, 4 years later in some cases, almost now, why these places aren't there anymore. And it's like, yeah, dude, because people don't have another $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, whatever the hell it's going to be, to, first of all, rebuy into this franchise, and then secondly, build a fucking building to actually make a reality again so that you can have a Domino's or a Pizza Hut or a Papa John's or a Wendy's or an Arby's or a Chick-fil-A or a Popeyes or whatever the fuck the case be, fast food place, in your damn town is what it is. So when you're having these pieces of shit criminals running around committing multiple arsons, admitting the shit on camera, and I forget exactly whose YouTube channel it was I was watching the one night. It was, because this is the problem, though. They had a bunch of them back in those days where it was a website that a bunch of leftists set up is what it was there, where it was like 60 different live streams going on across the country there during the riots and stuff for 2020. And I forget the website was called offhand, but that actually went offline after that, like a couple months later is what it was there. Because it was basically, they had nothing to show anymore. But it was one of those guys that was either a Facebook live stream or it was a fucking just random like YouTube stream or whatever the case be this guy was doing there in Minnesota. And yeah, you had these 4 black trainees run up on this guy and fucking, while wearing masks, admitting that they were committing arsons all over the fucking area there is what it was that night. And yet I guarantee they were never arrested, never charged with fucking multiple arsons, multiple felonies, multiple terrorism charges, etc. there. But what happened in the situation was now you have all these businesses that got burned in the ground there is what it is. And were never built back up again because people couldn't afford to is what it is. Or if they could afford to, why the fuck would they ever build again in that fucking shithole town, dude? No, fuck that. They're going to go probably another state over and build someplace else as well. Be then if they have the money to do that is what it is. Or they'll simply just take the insurance payout, if they even get one for that matter, simply pack up their shit in a U-Haul and just move elsewhere is what it is. Then it'd be like, fuck these people, fuck this city, fuck this state, etc. And, you know, there goes another, you know, company going out of your state now is what it is. Or if it was the same person that owned all of them then, which I guarantee it wasn't many cases, but if it was the same person that owned a couple of them or whatever the case be, yeah, you can't expect that one person, you know, if it is like a family that has like some money to them or whatever the case be, to rebuy into 4 or 5 businesses, dude. They might be able to bring back like 1, but they're going to bring back 4 or 5, and they're sure as shit not going to bring them back in your little fucking shitty towns what it is there. When they already know what they're going to expect next time around when you got another set of fucking riots, which is going to be their shit burned down again. And again, it's a definition of insanity, dude. It's doing the same shit over and over again and expect different results is what it is there. So it's like, yeah, you cannot expect these people to sit there and put up with that shit, have their business burned to the ground, and then be like, why ain't you building back up again, motherfucker? I don't know. Why'd you fucking burn my goddamn business to the ground first time, you fucking cunt? Like, honestly, and this is exactly why I think we're going to see civil war hardcore in this country next year, dude, because we're definitely coming to a precipice in this nation's history right now where we're definitely going to see some shit pop off right now. Speaking of civil war, actually, I was on X here a little bit ago, and there was Sorry, my shit was going on wonky there. It's still very low on the unstable connection part, but we'll come back up here in a minute or so. Anyway, what I was saying about Civil War there is what it was. So you had Nikki Haley talking about Civil War, no clip is what it was, not mentioning slavery at all and stuff like that, and kind of trying to, in a roundabout way, she was almost saying states' rights is what it was there, which she's not wrong about that, honestly, dude. Like, that's the one thing, her being a neocon sack of shit and everything like that, I will give her that, honestly. She doesn't understand some part of the Civil War anyway, is what it is. Which, for those who don't know, yeah, to begin with in the Civil War, it was very much about Southerners wanting states' rights is what it was there. And specifically, what you had was, you had the South creating a bunch of cash crops with, you know, various cotton gins, etc. There's what it is. And then also, obviously, slavery before that is what it was. To do a bunch of, you know, picking of the cotton in the fields and a bunch of other stuff like that. You know, whatever they were growing in the fields, which had cotton and stuff, was getting picked by slaves is what it was there. In many cases, until the cotton gin actually got created later on, and that basically did away with, you know, the need for slavery entirely is what it was there. But yeah, so basically what you had was, you had the southern states basically making cash crops like crazy, and you had these northern states wanting to tax them out of existence, what it was, pretty much. And they were like, nah, fuck you, bro. And that's actually what started a lot of the actual Civil War initially. And then, of course, you had, you know, the guise of slavery being the main focus after it was all said and done is what it was there. And what's interesting about that, because I say guise of slavery, obviously, because of the fact that you had the northern states, Democrats, specifically the northern states, after the Civil War fucking ended, still had slaves for several years until it was like, what the fuck, bro? And then finally they got rid of their slaves too, is what it was. So it's like, yeah, man, it's a bunch of stupid bullshit all the way around is what it was there. So, yeah, anybody ever tries to tell you that slavery was the only reason for civil war in this country in the 1860s, what it was there, is a fucking liar. That was only part of it. A lot of it was actually states' rights related. That's why you had the whole, when you actually look at what the Confederacy was creating for their own, like, essentially Bill of Rights is what it was. Yes, technically there was slavery in there as part of, like, their whole, like, you know, mantra stuff or whatever the case be. But it was also about states' rights too, for that matter. So it was a mixture thereof is what it was, honestly. And ironically enough, a lot of those people that existed back then, it was their direct descendants who then became the Dixiecrats of our country for decades is what it was there, where they were just openly racist and shit like that. And they were pushing all the Jim Crow laws and stuff like that is what it was. So, yeah, very interesting. Also, for that matter, when you look at 2023 going into 2024 here, every Jim Crow law that exists in the books right now that specifically disenfranchise minorities in this country, all to do with Democrats, dude. It was all signed by Democrats. It's all kept in place right now by piece of shit Democrats like Roy Cooper in North Carolina, where you had to have that asshole, 2 fucking general assemblies it took for them to get enough Republicans in the majority there in North Carolina to veto override this fucking douchebag's bullshit so they couldn't veto the permit to purchase crap again. Because they were trying to get rid of that stuff, because it was obviously an old Jim Crow law where you had to have, like, I forget exactly what the actual terminology was. It was like show of good faith or good moral standing or something like that. To be able to buy a gun in North Carolina, specifically handgun is what it was there. But the pistol permit to purchase stuff is what it was. And again, it goes back to what Jim Crow era was in the 30s, 40s, whatever it was there. And it was legitimately Democrats pushing that shit into place to disenfranchise and stop minorities from even being able to buy guns in this country at all. So it's really fucking disgusting entirely, dude. And of course, you have all the lies about the whole, you know, party switching, and it's like, oh, it was the Republicans that were the ones that were all about slavery. No, it wasn't, you fucking idiots. It was Democrats all the time, dude. It was them that created the KKK in the fucking 1800s time period there, and it was them that created fucking BLM terrorism in the 2010s and shit. They also created Antifa. They also created fucking Revcom, Refuse Fascism, all these other fucking leftist terrorist organizations, etc. So, yeah, y'all are dumb, dude, for real. But yeah, I think it's very interesting how you had that woman trying to be like, oh, it's the franchises having all this money. And it's like, no, it's not, lady. It's franchisees that are poor-ass people who have just enough money to buy into a fucking franchise, and they can't afford to do the oversight crap is what it is there. So, yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit entirely, man. I'm so sick and tired of all of it, honestly. But anyway, we got a couple other stories we want to talk about too today, which is, I know I pulled the one up here, and I can't remember exactly where it's sitting now. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, this was the Gen Alpha story I want to talk about here, which I need to pull over to a different tab is what it is. So you have a bunch of teachers out here now who are complaining about Generation Alpha specifically. Why is this not wanting to... Come on, there you go. Okay. Yeah, complaining about Gen Alpha students having no real moral compass in class and stuff like that, and want to fight teachers and shit like that. Which I want to point something out on this one, actually, two different things. So this basically has to do with Bush and Obama both. So you had Bush, when he was president, creating the No Child Left Behind policy, which is a bunch of BS, because all it did was basically disenfranchise kids then to be pushed ahead in classes, whether it be from first grade to second grade, or second grade to third grade, or third grade to fourth grade, or, you know, sixth to seventh grade, whatever the case be, when they may not have been ready, when they should have been held back, when they should have actually been, you know, given another year in that same class to learn everything they need to learn, to be able to read at a grade level, etc. there. But instead you have the No Child Left Behind bullshit that basically pushed these kids forward and pushed out a bunch of dumbass drones into society at the age of 18, so they got voting rights by default is what it is there. And then you had fuckstick Obama in his final days in office create what I basically call the No Child Expelled for Fighting Act, which is not what it's actually called, but I forget what the actual fucking executive order it was he signed into place there. What it was in the last couple of days of his presidency there in 2017 then, which is, it was basically, you can have kids, specifically minority kids, black kids, whatever the case be there, fighting teachers in classrooms, as well as other students for that matter, and not be expelled on the spot for fucking fighting, dude. And then you've had teachers now come out and we're like, yeah, dude, I'm having to deal with these disruptive ass kids in my class every single day. And there was a couple of these schools that I was had listened to stories of, and this is from Icky Nation News actually from about, I don't know, 6-8 months ago now, where you had some woman on there that was a teacher who was retiring then, and she was talking about this exact thing on there, and I looked more into it after that, and you have a bunch of different stories where there's places that ain't even fucking hood areas, dude, that are just like random schools in like a suburb, whatever the case be. It's like very mixtured and stuff like that of like between like white, black, Latino, etc. students is what it is there. And you'll have gangs of kids walking around the hallways throughout all the class and stuff like that, come into classrooms, try to fucking fight kids during the classes and stuff like that, or they'll just sit down and be disruptive as fuck is what it is. Or the teachers are trying to teach something. You'll have a couple kids up front actually wanting to learn, and they're going to be the ones getting fucked over. And in many cases, those kids that should be A-list students, they should be the literal fucking like A+ honor roll students and stuff like that, are now being forced into fighting a lot of these fucking gang members is what it is, dude. That are being allowed to maintain the school systems is what it is there. And so now they're becoming disruptive, and they're becoming the new Gen Alpha kids is what it is now. They're trying to fight teachers or fight each other is what it is there. And it's like, yeah, and this is why people like me are fighting so hard for school choice in this country, dude, because we don't want our fucking generations to be this way. We want to have these kids that are the best and brightest in these schools taken out and being given the opportunity to go to someplace better so they can actually learn, so they can become something better in life and not be reduced to being some piece of shit stuck in the fucking hood basically the rest of their life is what it is, man. It's a bunch of crap entirely. So, but anyway, to go on and talk more about the story though, which is, yeah, teachers explain their concerns over Gen Alpha students are behaving in class. Said teachers explain their concerns over how Gen Alpha students are behaving in the classroom. Said today's generation is much different than the previous ones. That is due to a lot of factors. However, the most predominant factors have to be access to social media and excessive usage of electronic gadgets. So much exposure at an age when you cannot entirely understand the difference between what is good for you and what isn't can only result in an overall stunted growth. So in a video posted by Newman Music Academy, who goes by something or other on TikTok, she is an educator, which I'm assuming is this woman here is what it is in the blue. Said talks about how Gen Alpha needs to do better to not stay behind concerning emotional, mental, and economic growth. Okay, so here's the thing about that though, right? And yet you're not going to blame it on lockdowns to some extent. Even though there's been multiple studies that have come out now and talked about how when you have states like Ohio here, under 442 days of tyranny under DeWine's bullshit or that stupid bitch Amy Acton, who was appointed health director, who was a fucking Democrat sack of shit, by the way, under some rhino-ass motherfucker named Mike DeWine is what it was there, dude. And you're going to tell me that Ohio kids are not mentally stunted right now, dude, for multiple years now in a row? to where you have kids that were kindergartners having fucking mask mandates put in place there, having to cover their faces, to where they don't even have any emotional connection at all anymore now, dude. Dude, you fucking people, and I've said it many, many times in the situation, you fucking sacks of shit in the educational system have literally created the Mexican Jokers. You are literally creating Mexican Joker, dude. This is what Gen Alpha is going to be now. It is the fucking Mexican Jokers, dude. And it's not surprising to see this shit, honestly. It's not surprising to see, as one of these teachers explained that was like 22, 23, he's like, yeah, these kids just want to get high all day. No shit, Sherlock, because you've literally put them in a fucking mindset to where why would they want to fucking learn? When you're sitting there having a math teacher be like, okay, kids, today and for the rest of the week, we're going to learn about preferred gendered pronouns and why I am a they, them, and she, and you're a she, her, and he's a he, him, etc. bullshit. You're a fucking math teacher. You're supposed to be teaching these kids math, asshole. Or you're a reading teacher supposed to be teaching these kids reading. Not to mention the fact that I remember actually a couple years ago, there was, I forget if it was New York or where it was at, dude. It might have been a couple states, actually. I think it was New York, California, a couple other like left states that it was there. Where, trying to find it now. Yeah, I can't seem to find it right this second. But yeah, there's I remember stories from a few years back now is what it was, where you had them lowering standards for the education system is what it was, public education. And you had them literally hiring people who were fucking illiterate to be teachers for reading, writing, etc. And it's like, and you wonder why all these kids are illiterate now, dude. And it's like, not that hard to figure out, dude, when their teacher can't fucking read or write. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, again, and this is what happens when you import fucking CRT, DEI, etc., the new affirmative action bullshit into place, where you're having diversity hires is what it is, dude. And you're hiring people that don't actually have the literacy skills to be a fucking teacher, but yet because, oh, we gotta do this fucking race quota bullshit now you're pushing that crap is what it is, dude. Fuck all that. Fuck all that shit, for real, man. It's a bunch of garbage entirely, dude. So, but yeah, this one was saying about Gen Alpha. I said children are missing the mark on discipline. They're missing the mark on educational standards. They're missing the mark on literacy. They're missing the mark on socialization. So while there are a lot of things to blame, like iPads, lack of socialization during COVID, and a bad economy leading to no time for parents to spend with their kids, it's time to stop making excuses to deal with the problem. Okay, so here's the thing right now, right? Like, technically, yes, parents should be teaching their kids how to read to some extent anyway. But the thing is, that's actually an educator's fucking job, dude, from kindergarten onwards is what it is. Actually, preschool in many cases is what it is there. It's like, yeah, if you have kids that can't read or whatever, dude, it's like your job to teach them how to read. Like, literally, it's your job. Like, I remember going to fucking school as a small child, going to preschool, going to, kindergarten, etc. And we were learning the alphabet, for God's sakes. Like, that's what we learned. It was like them literally taking a big old fucking rod thing and pointing up in an A or a B or a C or a D or whatever the case be. And that's what we fucking learned for the day is what it was. And in many cases, it was the entire week we were learning that stuff. Because it was a way to drill it into our heads so we didn't just get lost in the shuffle is what it was there, man. And yeah, you can blame technology to some extent. You can blame iPads, etc. You can blame parents giving their fucking kids phones and shit like that when they're like 2, 3 years old to play with. And giving them too much screen time and stuff like that. Like, that is a problem too, for that matter. But what's also a problem, like I said, when you have lockdowns for, 18 months or so in some states here, like Ohio was, you can't honestly sit there and tell me that did not stunt the growth of a bunch of kids, man. Now, granted, in the case of LeBron James I Promise School, that was just led by a dumb fuck like him as ass is what it was there, dude. You had those kids before even lockdowns, this goes back to 2018 or so, when they weren't even reading at grade level back then. So that was even going before lockdowns and stuff like that. And it didn't help because it just got exacerbated by fucking lockdowns then, dude, because you had these kids that were like, you know, a second, third grade reading level or whatever the case be. And then they continue to be that all the way up to 8th grade now is what it is, man. So actually, that's one thing I do remember when I went to college years ago. When I had, because I was out of school for so long is what it was, I had to go down to Columbus State, and they were giving me like tests and stuff at their testing center thing is what it was there, for like proficiency tests, basically is what it was, to see how good my reading skills were, my writing skills were, my math skills, etc. were, and stuff like that. And then based on that, they were basically determining like where I should start out as, what it was there, whether it be like, you know, introduction to whatever the case be, or whether it be like some like 101 class, or it was like a 202 class, or like a 303 class, whatever the case be, which in many cases was like, you know, the advanced courses and stuff. And I want to say there was like one that I had that was like a 303 class that maybe I shouldn't have been in that class because it was like a little bit advanced for me, even because my autism, not knowing how that was something like autistic time or whatever the case be it was. But yeah, the other ones were like on the mark basically. And the sad part was, I remember that day, even this was back in 2008 going into 9, I believe is what it was there, where you had other kids taking proficiency tests, and I was overhearing stuff about their results and shit. And there was these kids that were coming up straight out of high school that were at like 4th grade reading levels and stuff, dude. And I'm just like, how the fuck is that even possible? So yeah, you're talking about the sad part is, and going forward, you know, 10, 11 years now, 12 years, 13 years now, whatever it is now. Yeah, it's actually more than that now. I'm thinking about it. It's almost, let me think now, 2000. Yeah, it's almost 15 years now. Yeah, it's at least 14 anyway. So the entire point is, though, it's these people that were going in there and going to college at, you know, 18, 19, 20 years old, etc. there, who were reading at a 4th grade level. They're the ones that now have a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, whatever it is, in high school and stuff like, or not going to high school, kids going into junior high, middle school and stuff like that now is what it is, dude. Or going into basic elementary schools is what it is there at 3rd and 4th grade levels and stuff. Because they had kids at the age of like 20, 21, 22, whatever it was. So, yeah. And then you wonder why, you know, you have quote unquote Gen Z. And what's funny to me too is that what I think is fucking hilarious about that video actually with that chick there was, she was trying to blame millennials, of all people, for why their kids were shitty and stuff like that, when in many cases it's actually the older Gen Z kids who are the ones who are the parents of these Gen Alpha kids now, dude, that are 8, 10 years old, whatever it is there. When they had kids when they were like 14, 15, 16, 17, whatever it was there. So, or in that case, it could be like very, very younger millennials that are in like their late 20s and stuff like that would be there. So, but yeah, it's just funny to me that you're sitting there trying to blame like this generation, that generation, etc. And then some people were like, oh yeah, you know, Gen X had it right about, you know, every so often kids need an ass whooping and stuff like that, which I don't disagree with that, honestly. Like, the real problem is, and this does go back to, you know, kids, etc. is what it is there, man. If you have a child with no discipline at all, they will push the boundaries to see if they have any or not. They like, that's the thing with kids, man. They'll always be defiant. They'll always push boundaries, etc. until they get pushback is what it is. And whether that be a smack across the face, whether that be a punch in the fucking mouth, whatever the case be, which obviously is not good because, you know, as even they were saying in that video there, it's like all these kids just want is violence is what it is there. Like their whole ingraining thing is violence. So it's like, you know, violence only begots more violence is what it is there. But in that same thing, you know, if you give them like a stern talking to and shit like that, dude, like maybe that's all it takes, honestly. And they realize like who's actually in control here is what it is then. Now, granted, some of them just do need to be taken over somebody's fucking knee and have a paddle on their fucking ass is what it is sometimes, what it is, man, for real. Because that's the only way they're going to learn, you know? And it's going to be that traumatic experience, maybe once or twice, for many of them, that then they're going to shape up and fucking get better is what it is there, man. Or they're going to get shipped out is what it is there. And, you know, I'm very much on a whole thing of, you know, you don't throw the baby out with bathwater kind of thing is what it is there, man. Like, most people deserve a second chance. I say most. I don't say all, obviously. Because there are definitely some that don't even deserve a first chance for that matter, dude. There are some that are legitimately born bad who are going to be, you know, fucking psychotic lunatic killers, etc. from the fucking jump. But then you'll have these other ones that, like I said earlier, it'll be the ones who are like the A-list students that are in the public education system, have to deal with all this fucking fighting around them, be literally bullied by other kids and stuff like that, a gang of fucking kids into fighting then, and now they're becoming the C or D-list student because of that. When if you take that smart, bright kid out of a fucking school, give their parents the ability to have a school choice voucher, put them in a better school system, a better school, a better classroom, etc., that's not going to be disruptive as fuck, where they can actually learn, they're going to be the best and brightest among themselves, dude, is what it is. They're going to be the ones going on to have, you know, 10, 15, 20 different scholarships from 10 or 20 different colleges, what it is there, man. They're going to be the ones having a 2100 perfect fucking SAT score and stuff like that. But that's the problem right now, is these poor kids, and it doesn't matter race, doesn't matter white, black, Latino, otherwise, dude. You know, because it's all races, colors, creeds, etc. at this point, dude, that have that issue with this fucking fighting in these school systems now. It's these kids that are being left behind because of Bush's No Child Left Behind policy, because of Obama's literally don't expel people for fighting policies, etc. there. And then what's even worse is, like we talked about in Honda's chat before with his kids, you have all these fucking illegals being brought into our country right now that don't speak a goddamn word of English. And you have them bringing in their little shithole kids is what it is there, man. That also are a bunch of fucking, you know, Spanish-speaking only kids is what it is there, man. And instead of forcing these people, if they want to come into our country and migrate here legally, that they would have to learn English or get the fuck back out is what it is. Instead, they're like, okay, no, we're going to have every teacher do bilingual shit now. And so you have people like Honda's kids there who should be getting an actual education system in the public school system of Colorado that aren't. They're getting half an education because you'll have a teacher spend half the class, whether if the class be 20 minutes or a half hour, whatever it is, they're spending, you know, 10 to 15 minutes teaching the kids in English, one half the fucking lesson, and then turning around and teaching all the kids in fucking Spanish the same exact half of the lesson. Instead of just being like, sorry, motherfuckers, we're going to do English only forever. You either learn by default or get the fuck out and don't learn shit. And then you just teach the fucking classes all in English is what it is there, man. It's just like the same thing with having our ballots right now. Like, why the fuck? Here's my problem right now, right? I don't care if it's our ballots to vote. I don't care if it is our welfare systems, etc. here in this country. Why the fuck is any of this shit in any language other than United States of America English, dude? In the United States of America, why is it anything other than English? There should not be Spanish in there. There should not be fucking French, German, Botswana fucking languages, all kinds of African bullshit too, for that matter. You have the shit in like 20 different languages, including like Arabic and stuff, dude. It's like, no, dude, it should be one language, English, and if you can't fucking speak English, then get the fuck out and don't fucking come to my goddamn country illegally, you fucking assholes! And then try to sit here and take out my fucking money that I put into my fucking system for my fucking people, meaning American citizens, and then sit there and fucking jack the fucking system and become a bunch of welfare recipients because you can't actually provide for your fucking selves in my country, asswipes. Like, that's what pisses me off so much is what it is, man. It's like, no, if you cannot speak English, get the fuck out and don't come back. If your kids don't learn fucking English to go into the school systems, tough fucking shit. You're not assimilating. Obviously, you're not melting in the fucking melting pot. So get the fuck back out and don't come back, assholes. Until you actually want to learn English for real and then come into an English-speaking fucking country. So yeah, there's a bunch of factors that happen to be in the situation, dude. That's one of them, obviously. You have other stuff too, for that matter, but these are many of the main ones, honestly, and that's why you have these kids that, of course, they don't want to learn shit, dude. When you have to fucking do a multi-language course that should be a fucking English course. Should be an English speaking only course, dude. It's so fucking dumb. And then you wonder why these American kids only learn at a fucking 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade reading level by the time they're fucking seniors in high school. It's not that hard to figure out, bro. Again, when you're doing lessons, half the fucking lesson in English, the same half of the lesson in fucking Spanish, and then you're expecting these American children to learn anything. Of course, you're not going to fucking learn anything. And that really is the fault of our fucking government entirely, to the federal government specifically. That's allowing fucking open borders and allowing this fucking bullshit tirade of illegals to come into our fucking country, dude. And fuck over our education system, everything else like that for that matter. So, and that's exactly what I've said before, dude. You're going to 100% see tribal warfare coming pretty soon in this country with the Civil War. Like, these are the final steps to it right now. That's going to cause all this shit, man. When you have American kids getting fucked over by illegals, when you have legal citizens, people who are actually immigrating here legally, learning the fucking language of the country, only to turn around and have a bunch of motherfuckers coming behind them illegally, jumping our fucking border, don't give a shit about our fucking laws, etc. Those are going to be the ones fighting in many cases, going to be the legal immigrants and stuff like that. They're going to fight these illegals, dude. So, anyway. And then, of course, you got fucking Democrats in places like Oregon. Piece of shit Kate Brown, and now that fucking idiot Tina Kotex, or what her name is behind her there, is what it is. Who's the governor now there in Oregon. Another fucking Democrat dipshit is what it is there. Who are doubling down. In Kate's case, she was basically just signing the shit in the law, and now it's Tina doubling down on it, basically. With literacy shit. Where you're having these kids be able to now graduate from high school being illiterate. Not even being able to write their own fucking names. And it's like, who does that benefit? Oh, yeah. Creating lifelong Democrat voters. That's who. That's what they're trying to do, man. They're literally trying to make idiocracy a reality in this country right now. And they're succeeding very, very much so, honestly. It's why you have all these people that are being imported in from communist nations pushing communism again. You know? Fuck all that bullshit, too, man. Actually, somebody was posting something earlier today on Twitter/X there, and it was basically the old clip from, I think it was Texas in like the late 80s or something like that is what it was. Maybe mid-80s, somewhere in there. And this was back when Texas in that time period of that, like around like the late 70s, early 80s is what it was there, where you could still drink and drive basically in the state of Texas. And I'm not saying you could get like drunk behind the wheel and drive. I'm saying you could literally like have a beer in your hand, drinking a beer, and driving a vehicle at the same time. Now, granted, that being said, most of those people that were doing that shit, they could still function because they weren't even really buzzed with like a single beer is what it was. For them, it would take like a whole case to basically get, even like slightly like hammered, basically. So, but yeah, you had all these people that were like, this is some bullshit that they're trying to make us not be able to drink and drive now. So, and there was one woman who was like, and this is how you get a communist nation pretty soon. And she's not wrong, dude, because that's basically goes back to slippery slope stuff. It's like, 30, 40 years later, that's basically what we become now, is what it is in some cases. So, yeah, I'll tell you what, man. 80s Texas was based as fuck, for real, man. I miss that time period of history. And those good old people like that, man. Because that was like the, actually, I would say that was a mix of like younger baby boomers and like older Gen Xers and stuff like that at that point then. Who were the people in those videos and stuff. So, but yeah, good times, man. And unfortunately, we've lost a lot of those people over the years and decades now because, various things, whether it be natural deaths or something else for that matter. And yeah, you've had that generational shift and stuff like that to where we become much weaker as a country. We become way more feminized as a nation. You got boys wanting to be girls, girls wanting to be boys, everybody wanting to be each other is what it sounds like. And then actually, I had a good conversation with my uncle the other day when we were driving to get water from the park there, which was he and I were discussing the whole like transgender issues and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, you got a guy over here wanting to be a girl now, and then you got a girl over here wanting to be a guy now. And then they, swap genders basically, and then they have a relationship with each other and stuff like that. And I was telling them about Ray Ray's crazy ass and how Ray Ray always bring up the whole like trans lesbians thing a bunch of years back now is what it was. Like 2-3 years ago, back when we were on the panels early on is what it was there. And as I was telling my uncle, I was like, I don't like because I was saying about like the whole like trans lesbian thing where it was like two dudes acting like they were women and stuff like that, and then trying to be like male to female and stuff like that. And I was like, isn't that just being gay with more steps? And he just starts laughing because it's fucking comical, dude. Is what it is, legitimately. Because it really is, honestly. It's like you're just being gay with more steps. Is what it is, dude. You're literally in a relationship with another biological male. Like you're just being gay with more steps at that point, dude. At least bisexuality makes sense in this nation and stuff like that, dude, because you're attracted to either gender is what it is there. You're attracted to either sex, male or female. So, now granted, it seems like in general, a lot of dudes or chicks or whatever the case be, myself included, that, have gone down the kind of bisexual route now is what it is here. For me personally, there are so many of these trans people, dude, that can pass for biological females that are very feminine and stuff like that. Like, that's where it's a hard distinction for me anyway. And so that's why I do consider myself bisexual in some cases, because I do find myself attracted to some of these people is what it is. Because they've done enough to where they can pass, or they're so feminized they can pass as females instead of males is what it is. So, and it's kind of creepy, actually, when you think about it, dude. Actually, I was watching a good one on, going back to the Twitter X thing there. I was watching a good one on there earlier, too, where it was a short little clip thing of this black person who was supposed to be transgender. And they were like, oh, should I tell this dude I've been dating for a couple weeks now that I'm trans tonight? And then, like, the next clip was them with a black eye. It's like, so I assume that you did lie to him for weeks is what it was. Finally told him the truth. And then they're like, you a man? Bam! And that's the problem, too, right? Like, you look at that kind of stuff even, and it's the same shit there for that matter, dude. Where you'll have these people who will lie to people's faces in many cases, straight up be like, oh, I'm this thing or that thing or the other thing, whatever the case be, and not realizing, like, nah, dude, just fucking tell people the truth. Just be fucking front and center about it. Be like, I'm this trans person. I was born biologically male. I'm trying to live my life as a female now. Like, this is who I feel like I am kind of thing or whatever the case be. And you'll find people out there that are actually into that shit, honestly, dude. Like, maybe they want a relationship with you. But instead, you'll lie to people. You'll try to find somebody you actually are attracted to, or they're not going to be attracted to you if they knew the truth. Put them into that false sense of security where they think they're dating a biological female. And then when they find out you're not, because you're going to have intimacy, because you're going to have sexual relations, whatever the case be, then they just beat the fuck out of you is what it is. And in many cases, they kill you then. Which is exactly what we've seen many times there, especially in the Atlanta, Georgia area, where you've had a bunch of these minority trans people who will sit there and lie to people's faces, and then they'll get fucking murked out in some hotel room or whatever the case be, dude. Or some dude just fucking goes nuts, grabs a knife, and just starts stabbing them in the fucking throat or whatever the case be is there. Or pulls out a gun and shoots their ass dead. Where if they were just being upfront about the whole thing, you could have totally avoided that situation. You could have totally avoided that, physical assault or, murder or whatever it is, that'd be the case then. If you'd just been upfront about it, dude. If you'd just been upfront about who you were and what you were, and let them choose. Let them have the opportunity to be like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to walk away now from the situation. Or it's like, oh, really? That's interesting. And then maybe you actually, if nothing else, like maybe you make a fucking friend out of it, right? Like that's the thing. You might not have an actual relationship with this person after the fact when it comes to, sexual relationship or any kind of like intimacy, whatever the case be, or, dating, whatever you want to call it there. But maybe you make a friend out of it. Like that's the thing. Maybe it's like, okay, cool, that's cool. I just want to be friends or whatever the case be. And you could make a friendship out of that, dude. But instead you have so many of these people that'll just lie to your face about the shit. And then they wonder why it comes to assault and battery after the fact, dude. It's not that hard to figure out, honestly. And it is very sad, honestly, because it's like, if you were just truthful about what you really were and who you really were, we would be much better off as a country right now. Instead, you got fucking dickheads who will go around doing all kinds of stupid bullshit. Like, let me go see if I can find it here real quick. There was this one asshole earlier who was talking about some BS. Here's what it was. Oh, by the way, I was going to wait for later today to show this one, but I'll show it here as well in the end of this episode, and then we'll talk about more in Buckshot today is what it is there. Y'all want to see what a child predator looks like in 2023? Here is a great example right there. This bitch right here. Talking about inclusive language to kids and literally pushing fucking gender ideology crap in the classroom, dude. This woman is a sexual predator in 2023, man. She's a child predator in 2023. Going into 2024. So, anyway. Let's see if I can find that video now. Oh, yeah, here it is. So, yeah, you had this piece of shit right here, which was this nutty, clearly Antifa motherfucker, obviously biological female with her crazy ass hair. And oh, by the way, when I talked about that girl the other day that was the girlfriend of my family friend is what it was there, that chick had almost the exact same kind of nose ring, septum piercing thing right there as this person does here. So, but yeah, here it said, TikToker says she blows a musical instrument into her family's faces when they dead name, misgender, or use the wrong pronouns for her. Like, you know you're a piece of shit when you're doing stuff like that, man. Like, you're just a fucking asshole. And that's the fucking little instrument thing they blow. It's like a little horn thing, whatever the case be. They're just like, blow this.
Anytime the wrong pronouns or the wrong name comes out, and you be obnoxious as shit. Because they'll stop real quick.
No, you know what they'll do? They'll beat the fuck out of you, you dumb cunt. They'll punch you in the fucking mouth a few times and then kick you out of their fucking house, you dumbass. Because that's what's going to happen in a lot of those cases, dude. You're going to get your ass beat in the fucking streets is what it's going to be then. And that's exactly what we've seen many times over the years now with these little shithead Antifa members like that doing that crap out in society to people and like trying to basically do like a squad of those little idiots with their little horn things and stuff like that. You know what happens? Fucking fists go flying, your fucking ass gets knocked out in the streets, bitch. Dude, I'll tell you what, if that was my child, oh my god, they would honestly, I would first of all disown their fucking ass. Secondly, I would actually call the cops on their ass for 5150 shit was at that point, dude. To put their ass away for fucking mental health checks and stuff like that is what it would be then. Because that person needs to be in a fucking institution, man, for real. Like, honestly, and I've said it before, I'll say it again right now. The worst thing that Donald Trump ever did as president was not do forced mental institutionalization of leftists in this country, dude. Because had he done that exact thing, we would be so much better off as a nation right now. You wouldn't have all this bullshit fucking baby death crap passing in all these states. You wouldn't have all this bullshit gender ideology crap being pushed in all these states now and stuff like that. You would have all these nutcases be locked the fuck away where they belong to in a nut house someplace. And we would be 100 times better off as a country right now. So yeah, you done fucked up Trump real bad on that one, dude. Not do that shit. And some people might say that's authoritarian. Some people might say that's dictatorship kind of shit or whatever the case. But who fucking cares, dude? I don't really care on this point, honestly. It needed to be done. It still needs to be done at this point. It's how you make this country a sane nation again. It's how you make this country a functioning fucking constitutional republic again is what it is. And you get rid of these psychotic lunatics the fuck out of office is what it is too, for that matter. They're pushing all this crap too. You know, somebody else is there claiming to be transgender and then run for office, dude. Nope, sorry, you're disqualified, bitch. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck out of here, don't come back. Simple as that, man. And we would be so much better off as a nation right now. Instead, you're allowing these fucking lunatics to basically run for office, win a seat in the fucking General Assemblies or whatever it is there. And then, like in Montana, push all this crap or whatever the case, we would have to be literally tossed out of the fucking chambers and sent to basically this little area to sit every day is what it is for like a week or two, which is what happened to that one fucking ass clown there in Montana some time ago. That was clearly a biological male, ugly ass biological male, by the way, who did not even pass anything near a biological female. Did not do anything to feminize themselves into biological female. at all for the matter and was like, no, I'm a girl now. No, you're a fucking dude. Fuck off, guy. Like, that's the entire problem right now, is there's too many of these motherfuckers that are like, no, I'm transgender. No, you're just an ugly ass man, bro. Seriously. Like, that's the whole fucking problem right now. And that's the real problem with a lot of these people, man. Like, that's why you have all the transgender shit fucking kicking up like crazy, because in many cases, you'll have these lunatic ass dudes who are just ugly motherfuckers who are like, oh, I can't get laid. I might as well be a girl now. And then they're like, I'm a girl now. And literally have like a fucking beard better than mine, honestly, in many cases. And act like they should be treated as a fucking biological female. It's like, nah, dude, get the fuck out of here. Seriously. Like, go away now. Move on with your life, you nut. So, anyway. Or it's even worse. It's aggressive little pieces of shit like that Antifa douchebag there, that female there, who's like, oh, my parents or siblings called me the wrong name. So I'm going to pull out this little horn and blow it in their fucking face. Like, I'm actually surprised that person doesn't have 2 black eyes in that fucking video, dude, because that's what it should be, honestly, in many cases. Like, you know, it's like the old mantra, like the old kind of weird, fucked up, you know, abuse joke kind of thing is what it is, where it's like, you know, what do you tell a woman with 2 black eyes? And it's like, nothing. Somebody already told her twice. So, which in that case, like, dude, I could easily see that fucking red-haired dipshit there that claims to be transgender, just getting fucking the shit kicked out of him, whatever the case be. Actually, I'm kind of surprised, like, given the fact that you have all those people with septum piercing and stuff like that now, where it's like the bull ring right in the middle of the nose there, dude. And there's enough of a little hook there to where if somebody wanted to, they could like slide a finger in there real quick and just rip down, basically. I'm surprised you haven't had more videos of like people fighting like that or whatever, where they'll just like do that. They'll just go like in the fucking nose ring like that, or even just like grab with like index finger, thumb and stuff like that, and just be like, rip that shit right the fuck out, and you just have this person bleeding from the nose and shit then. I wouldn't be surprised to see that actually kick up pretty quick is what it is now, especially going into 2024 here with the potential civil war in the horizon and stuff like that. So, yeah, I could easily see people doing that stuff now. Where if you have these dumbasses being dumb enough to wear that kind of shit and that kind of, you know, jewelry and stuff like that being easily used as weapons against them is what it would be then. So, but anyway, yeah, it's just... Actually, it reminds me of that movie Airheads from back in the 90s with Brendan Fraser and Adam Sandler and stuff like that, where you had Chris Farley as a cop in that, and it was this dude in a bar that had a nipple ring and stuff like that, and he, like the biker dude with the nipple ring, like grabs the cop's badge and like kind of like halfway eats it or whatever the case be to like kind of crumple it or whatever then, and he's like, what are you gonna do, buddy? Or something like that, and you have Chris Farley looking down at the guy's nipple and stuff like that, has the big old ring in it, puts his finger through the fucking ring and just rips the motherfucker out, and he's like, improvise, while holding the dude's nipple in his fucking hand then. That's with the ring in it, so... And, like, yeah, I could easily see that being a thing, dude, and that's exactly why you should not wear jewelry and stuff like that, honestly, man, because it could easily be used against you in fights and shit. The same thing with, like, it's exactly why whenever you see, 2 black chicks about to fight in the hood and stuff like that, or like hood adjacent, whatever it is there, and they'll be wearing like these giant hoop earrings and stuff like that, the first thing they do is pull the fucking earrings out, man, because they know if they don't, their shit's gonna get ripped out is what it is then. You're gonna have a big old fucking tear in your earlobe is what it will be then. So yeah, like there's a reason why you don't wear like shit like that, or even that same way of things why you'll see many dudes when they're fighting, they'll pull off their shirts, especially if they're like baggy and stuff, so that way they're not going to have the shirt used against them in the fight is what it is then. Be pulled over their head and, you know, punched in the face, and is what it is then. So it's actually not a bad move, honestly, especially when you know you're about to like get into it then, because that way you're like preparing to scrap up is what it is then. But yeah, I don't know. I see a lot of things changing in this country very, very quickly is what it is, and I think you're going to see a lot of craziness basically be thrown out the window pretty soon is what it'll be, man. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy this episode. There definitely needs to be something done with Gen Alpha for sure. I think we need to be doing a recourse on this whole thing and maybe just implementing, you know, various standards again is what it is in schools and shit, as well as having a school choice, etc. there, man. And you know, take all these dumbass policies like Bush's No Child Left Behind and Obama's dumbass No Child being expelled for fighting, etc. Toss those out the fucking window, out the door, etc. And You allow for better school systems to be created. Then you start kicking all these fucking indoctrinators who want to call themselves teachers that are pushing all this gender ideology shit instead of actually teaching these kids legitimate skill sets, whether it be reading, writing, math, etc., the basics. And yeah, we have 100% a better country then, dude. Both public education and private education and everything else like that then. So, as for California, they're fucked. They are, man. They're every time Newsom signs some stupid shit like this into place, whether it be the $20 minimum wage stuff, or whether it be, anti-gun laws or pro-abortion laws or pro-trans laws, etc. there, dude. Every time that happens, there should be a thing in our books right now where California immediately loses 2 Democrat seats in Congress. And then if it goes down to the point where you just have no Democrats left at all, then it's just a seat or 2 after that then. Until California gets to 5 or less representatives, this would be then. And then you'd actually have a much better country in this country as well, dude. And the same thing with New York for that matter, too. The same thing with Kathy Hochul, etc. Tries to sign that crap into place, too, for that matter. You have all the Democrats in New York then start getting kicked out of Congress, too, for that matter, until they go down to 5 for their entire state then. And we have way better Congress after that is what it is then, man, with those 2 fucking states being gone pretty much from the Congress of any future congressional seats and stuff like this would be then. So, anyway. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will be back later today, about 10 hours from now, give or take, for the final Buckshot Thursday of 2023, where we talk about gun predictions for what we think is going to happen at SHOT Show this coming year and things I would like to see. And I'm going to give some shit to James Reeves, too, by the way, in that whole thing, because he was giving shit to High Point in his Worst Guns of 2023 or whatever, here's what it was, with the Eat Cannon thing. And that's not High Point's problem, dude. It's literally Mike DeWine and other dipshits shutting down the state for a year and a half and causing those people to basically have to do like 25% of their actual manufacturing capability, where instead of having 100 people work that day, it was 25 guys work that day because of 6 feet rule bullshit that was put into place for a year and a half of this country in the state of Ohio. So, yeah, you can directly blame the dumbass governor and his dumbass appointed health director woman for that kind of shit. But anywho, High Point is a good company though, dude. They make a decent product, is what it is. Obviously, when you're putting out a bunch of different ones all the time, man, it's only a matter of time before you get a stinker or 2 in there, is what it is. So you can't expect everything to run flawlessly out of the box, man. Now, granted, that being said, if High Point and Kel-Tec teamed up, where you had Kel-Tec be the R&D for High Point, bro, that would be the most badass thing in this country, I think, honestly, because you have 2 American companies combining their efforts together. And instead of having Kel-Tec making sort of shitty guns from R&D to production line where they're not like the greatest looks or functionality or whatever the case be after the fact, you could potentially have it start as an R&D company then for a High Point. And from there, you'd have High Point having like an end product that's a better quality product is what it is there, dude. And you would have like these cool ass guns that would be like a mix of both companies, and it would be like a High Point Kel-Tec hybrid or whatever the case be, where it would be high tech, baby. So actually that would be kind of cool, actually, to see those 2 merge into like one thing, where instead of being High Point and Kel-Tec, it's just now high tech. So yeah, that would be kind of funny actually to see that as a new gun company then in 2024 and beyond or whatever then. But I don't think it'll ever happen though, but it should though. That'd be funny though if it did though. But like I said, man, like, and people have been talking about that for years actually, like Kel-Tec really would make a better R&D company for some other gun manufacturer, to where you could work out all the kinks between R&D and then the actual production line and stuff like that, and just make a superior product then that would like function flawlessly instead of being, looking like it's built in a fucking prison system or whatever the case be then, like half of Kel-Tec's guns are right now. So anyway, that being said, more of this in Buckshot Thursday in about 10 hours or so. And until later, I will see you guys then, and we will discuss, like I said, upcoming SHOT Show for 2024, what I would like to see come out in the 2024. Really, really, really hoping for Taurus to make the G5 then, or whatever they're going to call it now. Maybe it's like a GX5 or something like that, which would be the 5th gen of their handgun then. But who knows? I'm sure they'll come up with something cool this year is what it is there. So they usually do. But anyway, till later. I will. Sorry, didn't put the right avatar on that one. Bring it back to the network. I will see you guys in the next one because we are the Ohio Patriot Education Network. But you always got to beware of the Mexican Joker, man, because you never know if it's going to become a reality or not. See you guys later.